just going to talk to you today about setting up a project for the GSB. This will be focused on our event, the Great Southern Bioblitz. However, you can use this the same process for setting up any other projects you want to do, or duplicating projects for whatever reason you might have. I'll be using the Gsb Admin profile for this because the idea this year is to have every project include the Gsb Admin. And the reason why that is in case we have movement at certain organizations, or for whatever reason, people can no longer do it and they leave, or we have an issue around that, or there's an issue with the project itself and we need to fix it up. Sometimes it's easier just for one of us to go in there and just tidy up one or two things. So the first way I'm going to show you how to create a project is by, just a quick look, by duplicating a project. So some of you out there have already got a project and you want to duplicate it, but there might be one or two errors creeping in the way you do this. Now I've chosen to do the Paraguay one because they're a bit new to iNaturalist and they did get involved slightly last year, but there was a few issues. So I'm going to help them out by redoing the Paraguay project this year. So if you're an admin on the project, you should have an edit button here. And if you go into here and just hit the edit button, that'll bring up the project administration rights. So in order to duplicate a project, it's quite simple. There's just a duplicate up here, duplicate project. You hit that button and it will ask you if you're ready to leave the project. So we just go yes and do that. The first thing that comes up, as you see here, is we have an error at the top saying that the project name is already taken. Now, as this will be the same project as the previous year, but just the date will be changed. All we need to do here is just change the date here. Change that to 2002, so 22. This also allows us, without changing the whole end part of the name, it allows us to keep the information on some of our database searches quite, it makes it easier for us to do that and compare between years. So the other thing you'll need to do once you've done that is edit the text. Now, this is all in Spanish, so I won't be able to edit too much of it, but I will just change the date here to give you an idea as to how to do this. It's just quite simple. We change that to 2002. On some of these projects, we have links as well.
Do you mind just zooming in on that a little bit more? Because your area is quite small there, so we may not be able to see. Keep going, keep going. Yep, keep going. Yep. All right, a bit more if we can.
How's that, guys?
That's better.
So if we go in here, we do have some of these bit of text, and I'll go through this a bit later on when I might be doing a project, a workshop on managing projects, and show you guys how to use some of these fields. But there's a lot of information on the internet on how to do this. If you just search in iNaturalist and journal posts, that'll show you how to do it. So I know that I've just changed the date on the umbrella project. That's all I've done there. So I can just change that to a 2 and change that to a 2. And then you can just go through and edit this as well. There's a whole lot of text, which I'll show you later on that we can just insert this as standard text. And then we go through down to the bottom. We just check, make sure our areas haven't changed. But we do need to change the date, obviously. And some people do forget to do this because they've got a lot of things on their plate. And as you can see here, I've selected the date that the GSB spans through. So the 28th to the 31st. But you also note that because it's a little bit past 12, there's a time element there. So that means that the observations will only be recorded from about midday on the Friday to about midday on the Monday, and that's not what we want. So the easiest way to get around this, rather than just putting in here 1 minute past 12 in the morning, or 001 to 11:59 is just to get rid of that. And that's one of the most common errors that we see is people leave the time in there or forget to update that.
Sorry, can you just say that again, please, Stephen? I'm trying to do it as we talk, as you're talking.
Okay.
What to do about the time?
You just delete it. So you just remove it. So you just highlight it. So I'll just do that again.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I select the Friday, it'll automatically select the time that it is now.
Oh, okay, right.
So rather than edit that down to 1 minute past 12 or whatever, we just highlight the time element and I'll bring up the map again and we just press backspace.
Oh, okay, sorry.
And that will just remove it.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So that means now that the time, so the any observations made on the 28th at 1 second past 12 that evening will be included, and all observations up until 1 second to 12 on the Monday will be included in the project.
Right. Okay.
And that's the same for any sort of project that's got a time element to it.
Yeah. Okay.
The only time that I would include a time element is if you're doing a specific event that's going to occur between, say, 9 o'clock in the morning and 12 o'clock in the afternoon. If you wanted to, have like a challenge between a particular time period. Otherwise, it's probably better just to have for the whole day.
Yep.
Now, if you are creating a new project or duplicating a project, now is the easiest time to add an admin that isn't already a member of the project, because if you want to add them later on, you'll need to have them join the project and then add them. So there's a bit of toing and froing there. Oh. So I've asked everyone to add GSB admin. So what you would do here is go GSB admin, and you would select that, but it's already a member. So you, if I wanted to add anyone
just
else,
just add me.
Add Michelle. Okay.
That you're dragging that on. Is that?
There we go. Michelle's down there. Okay. So the reason why we've got GSB admin as a manager, or we're asking to have it on all the projects, is because all of the coordinators will have access to that handle, and it just means that we don't have 1,000 different projects on our profile, and we can be sure that everyone will have access to it, rather than making sure that you guys add 5 or 6 or 7 different coordinators. I think that's a bit much. So I prefer to have just the GSB admin, so that if I can't do anything to fix it up, Michelle or Thomas or Pete or someone else can fix that up. So all we need to do now is select done. Now, one of the other errors that people do is they do select this button up here, members only. Don't select that. Okay, I should have mentioned this before. Observation requirements, members only. Make sure you don't, for any reason, select that. You don't need to. Okay. And I'll go through this again in how to set up a project from scratch, which I'll do in a minute. Okay. Why I did it this way, I don't know. I just thought it'll be easier since we've got people who have already organised projects. So once that's set up,
where do you find the older projects that you might go through to see if you want to duplicate it?
Your old project?
No, other old projects, so that we might want to duplicate that project.
You can't.
You can't unless you're a manager on the project. Yeah, so it's only if you're a manager. If you do want to do that, we can potentially give you access to that.
So we're thinking of managing our own project.
Yep.
For Hobson's Bay.
Yep.
We've put our names down to manage it. Excuse me. Pardon me. So what do we do now? Well, do you want to continue or
so what you would
you?
Yeah, what you would probably do is just get in contact with me and to let me know the LGAs that are involved. We may have had someone else managing them last year, and we can just easily transfer that and give you guys the administration rights on those projects.
Okay.
So then you can just duplicate those projects, or I can just duplicate them for you, but then include you as an admin. So why don't you just send me a message on that, and we can organise that with the project that was there previously, if there was one. We can do a quick check. And when you register, I'll be checking to see who is the previous organiser in that area. And if people are joining who are, like, for example, James has joined Sydney. So what we're trying to do is the people who have organised the projects previously, if they've got a project already there, then and that they're coordinating, then we ask that people join them rather than, it just makes it a bit easier, a bit politically, easier. We don't want to, say if someone's organising a project, it's up to them whether they want to split the project up or keep it together as one group. Thomas wants to keep Sydney together as one big group because he thinks it's easier to manage. But we do encourage people to have more than one organiser within each area as well. So we do encourage collaboration between several different groups because it makes it a lot easier.
Yep. And it could be, say, for example, the local land care group along with the local library, along with the local, botanic gardens or something like that. It makes it easier for that many people then to get involved.
Yeah. And also it's about the whole theme of what we're doing about is collaboration. So you can see that that's the project there. Now you can see a few issues with that. Well, I can see a few issues with that. It looks pretty boring. So if we go back and edit the project, what we can do is you see here the project icon. If we add a icon in there, I'll just go here and add.
We can't actually see what you're doing. We're still on the iNaturalist page.
Drop and drag. That's okay. I'm just going to drop and drag in there. I'm just pulling it up because I've got to select the right one, which is the Spanish version. Yep. You just drop and drag in there and the logo will be updated. And what you can also do is just choose an image. So what I have done with a lot of projects is I've gone along and selected a nice picture of an animal or a plant or something from that area or a nice observation and drop that in there. All the organisers themselves have made up a graphic that they like. It might be a picture of the area that they particularly like that's relevant to the project, and that can just be selected and dropped in a similar manner into the banner for the project here. And then you just save that, and that will come up.
So Stephen,
Yep.
I've just saved the project for 2022. But it's showing a number of observations and species and things.
The date may not be correct.
Oh, okay, right.
So you might have selected 2021.
Yeah, I could have.
So if you just share,
it's very common. It's very common.
If you share the link with me, I can have a quick look and we can just troubleshoot right now.
Right, I did. I changed the actual days, but I didn't change the year. Sorry.
Yeah, okay. And that is a common mistake. So that's fine. So now that's how you duplicate a project, which is pretty straightforward. Now,
I'd just like to add to that I've put a couple of in general pictures in the chat that you can download. One of which is the logo that you can put in, the English logo. So if you want to download them now, by all means, they are in our Google Drive.
Yeah, they're in the toolbox.
But if you're making it as you go at the moment, they're in chat. Okay.
So if you want to create your own project, if you go down to over here, we've got the your account drop down managing box. If you go down to projects here, you'll come up with this page here, which is your projects. Okay. So you want to create a new project, you can go start a project by selecting this one here. The other way I think you can do it is by going to projects here, and I think there's another icon there, start a project. So either way, okay. So if you go to community projects, start a project, or alternatively your own projects and start a project. Either way is fine. So we come down to welcome to projects, and it asks you what kind of project you want to do. There's 3 types of projects. Okay, so there are collection projects, and this is how you create an umbrella project. So for those of you who are involved, who are local council people, you may want to start a project like this, which includes all of the projects within your local council, for example. Okay, and if you're an interest group, you may have several projects that you're involved with, like a land care group where you set up projects at particular sites. You may also want to have like the Buttawang Coast, land care projects or something, and set up a umbrella project with all of your little specific projects off of that. Oh, sorry, that's the umbrella projects here. The other one is collection projects.
Can I just interrupt for a second for the umbrella?
Yeah.
So in Redland City, we're actually using umbrella projects to track all of the citizen scientists and all of the citizen science that's happening in Redlands. I'm not actually a member of the council, but this is how I've showed them how to do it.
Mhm.
We can also see them from year to year with things like City Nature Challenge and Great Southern BioBlitz and other BioBlitzes, just how much more engagement we're getting as well.
Yeah.
So you
And
can show proof of engagement this way.
And I can show you some examples of those in South Australia as well, where they've got all of the councils are actually in one umbrella project, as well as all of the conservation areas are in one umbrella project.
Yeah, so collection projects can be in more than one umbrella project.
Okay. So the other type of project is a collection project, which collects projects based on areas, species, different types of taxon, different, like they may be user-based ones. So there's a lot of flexibility around collection projects. And the other one is a traditional project, which is always hard to find because they're not really promoted that much anymore. But I can show people about those. They're ones which are probably more tailored to specific citizen science projects, where you have to add a few extra observational details often, like, for example, Fungi Map is a traditional project where you need to actually submit your pictures to that project and then answer a few questions about the biology of the particular fungi that you're looking at. And that's useful because it provides more biological information, such as what substrate it's growing on, and what kind of environment it's in, which also helps with identification. So they're slightly different types of projects. So let's get moving. We'll carry on. We'll go start our project. So the project I'm going to look at here, again, it's one that is an overseas project, because the person is a new. Let me just bring this up. They're new to the GSB, and we're having some issues with internet connectivity. Let me just.
So while Stephen's doing that, I'll just say that, yes, we can help you. And we often do help people to set up their projects, at least originally run things like this as well for anyone who is new to it, and then help you troubleshoot as well.
Yeah, and you'll see why I'm doing this in a minute, because it's in Portuguese. So we have a project joining us this year in Mozambique, in an area of Mozambique. And we'll just change that, it should be like that. Turn it off. Yeah, okay. So I've set up the name there. So this is an area in Mozambique. Okay. What I'll do now is I'll just add the icon there while I'm here. Just drag it across, because it's probably a better way to do it. I haven't chosen a picture yet, so I'll leave that blank. Now, it says here project summary. So we do have a document on our website which gives us a bit of standard text. Sorry, I know we're on the Google Drive. I'll just have to bring that up here. Should be in the toolbox.
And meanwhile, if you can also find it and put the link in the chat, that would be great. Thanks, Stephen.
I don't think it's been updated for this year. That's the issue.
So can you play around with this and keep it in draft form and then hit a go live button in 2 or 3 weeks' time after you've got it right?
Yep.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, and what you can do is you can just put a brief description in here, which I might just do now, and I'll find it later, and I'll give the detail to you guys.
Just put
later.
XYZ in there for now and come back, because if anything with an asterisk, it means you have to do something with it.
Yeah. So where am I at? I've lost myself. New project. There we go. So we do have some standard text, which is what you saw before, but it's in Portuguese, so I don't have it handy. I was going to get it organised, but I was in the meeting before. So we just need to put this in here and update it, obviously, to this year. If you're doing your own project for your own area, you can add that in here. And there's all sorts of interesting things you can do. You can add in your own logos, particularly from a Flickr account, if you have a Flickr account. And then you can actually insert logos in here, and you'll see a lot of our projects have that particular bit of code in it. The next thing you need to do is add a place. Now, this, for the first thing you should do is probably have a look at, when you get to this stage, what places are available. Now, what is a place? If you go here to the top toolbar, you will see places. And when you hit select that, you'll have this map. So rather than create a particular area every time you set up a project, you can go and have a look at the library of different places that are available. And here, rather than search Africa, I'll just put in Maputo, which is an area in southern Mozambique. And we have a selection of different areas. We have Maputo City in NZ province, whatever that is. Maputo is a province in Mozambique. No, that must be Mozambique. So we have all these different areas to choose from. So it's always good to review them. So this one here includes the entire province, as you can see. Now, I understand that's difficult to see because that's the way iNaturalist is set up, which I find is really unfortunate. There's no way to really expand that other than to do this. No, this one. So you can have a look. It includes a large area, which is kind of good, but it doesn't include the city. Okay. So we want to include the city as well. So we have to make sure if we're going to do this and we want to include the province or this particular one, we have to do one that will include the city as well. Okay, so we can have a look here. Oh, that one there is the city district. Okay, we can see that there. Well, I can see that. You guys probably can't. So that's the area that was excluded, except it misses this area here and this area here. Let's look at this one here. Okay, so this one here again. So we might need to create our own that will encompass that. So what we will do now is we will include the province and the city. And then I'll tidy up that missing stuff later. I'll show you how to create your own area in a second. So we need to do that, making sure that we don't check this members only, because if we check that, that'll include only members from the project. We may want to exclude a few things. If we go here, we may want to exclude.
That's places.
Oh, that's places. Sorry. So we might want to exclude human beings because people often put them up there as a bit of a joke. We might also want to exclude, say, domestic dogs, because we don't particularly want to include domestic dogs and domestic cats. There may be reasons why we do want to include cats. if we're interested in what cats are around our area, as in wild cats and things like that, there might be reasons why we might want to actually include those.
So for in a city, for example, you may want to actually include cats and
you
dogs.
may want to do that. So if you do want to set up a project, but you don't want to collect your own observations for whatever reason, if you're doing like a beginners type engagement project and you're quite a big user, you might want to exclude yourself. You can actually exclude particular users if you want. Okay. So then we just go down to here and include research grade, needs ID. And for our purposes, what we generally have done is include casual observations. And there are historic reasons for this because of COVID and things like that. Now, the difference between a casual observation and a research grade is that casual observations are things like plants that are potted or planted. And in some of the city areas, people get a bit despondent because they're like, well, I live in a city and everything's planted. So what do I make an observation of? So while we don't encourage people to do that, what we do encourage people to do is if you have a pot plant, lift up the pot plant and look at the slaters underneath. We do encourage that, but we also allow them to make those observations because we feel that's being a bit more inclusive. But again, we do try and steer people towards being a bit more inventive. Okay. Now we need to, like the other project, do the dates. Here to here, and as you can see, I haven't removed the time, so let's just take that out. And now I need to also, before I save this, we have another user. Let me just make sure this is right. Needs right now. There it is. That's the wrong one. Sure. Okay, so we just need to add any other users in here that need to be included in the project. So then I've just added the local person, the local organizer. And then if we just hit done, that will create a project. Now, again, I'll leave it up to the local organizer to put in a...
Are we doing the trust one as well?
Sorry?
We're doing the trust?
No. Because the reason why I don't select the trust one is if you have a look down here, there, Michelle's asking about here.
Down the bottom.
Down the bottom. So allow members to trust this project with hidden coordinates. We don't necessarily need to do that because this will allow all the members to see hidden coordinates, and there may be a very good reason why members don't want people to have a look at that. They might be endangered species, so it's probably better because anyone can join these projects. And it might also be in your own backyard too. Yeah. So I generally don't include that in the projects because we trust that the people who are submitting things to this project may have very good reasons for hiding their observations. And we can go through some of the issues around obscuring metadata with more advanced user stuff later on. Okay. All right. So that's how you do it. Now, I'm sure there's going to be a question, and one of the questions is going to be, okay, that's great, Steve. That's fantastic. But what if my area doesn't come up? Okay, what do I do? Now, I'm sure Sydney won't have that problem, but some of the other areas may very well have that issue. So if we go into here, sorry.
I do actually have that problem. The city of Sydney isn't represented very well.
Oh, isn't it? Okay.
No, it's I when I click on find Sydney, it only comes up Sydney West, which only covers half my catchment.
Yep.
Okay.
I have the same problem for Redland City.
Yeah, some of the problems there's a few issues with, and I think Graham had this issue as well. The people, I'll show, and it'll come up. It'll become obvious when I go through this. A lot of the actual places have been set up by individual users.
Mm.
So it depends on the quality of the data that they've been submitting. And most of the councils in South Australia are made up of like 2 or 3 different polygons. So it's kind of a bit annoying. I don't know why they've set it up that way. There might be a very good reason. I don't know. And the same in Victoria, where we've helped people set up projects, and then you get an email from someone saying, hey, you've missed out my little bit. And yeah, there's a third tiny little polygon that's been excluded. That wasn't included because it's got some obscure nomenclature behind it. So what you do is we're looking here for the place that we're looking at, and just let me bring up my extra thing here. I'll bring up a Queensland place that I know of. So let's look at a council in Queensland called Cloncurry Shire. That's probably wrong. There's no matching. So we might want to just remove the Shire bit and have a look. And there we have it already. So that actually is in there. Okay, so that's come up. So check with a few different variations. But if your project is, so let's go back. So the first tip is check a whole bunch of all the possible names that you might think of. Then if it's not on there, you select this little button up here, add a new place. Why did that happen? Yeah, I got to do it myself. So you have to have at least 50 observations to do this, because they don't want people going on there making up different places willy-nilly. So let's go here. We go add a new place. Now, you then come to this field here, which says, it gives you all those things I've said. You can only add 3 places a day. Used to be 5 recently. People are still doing it, so it's probably a bit of an issue. Look for existing places and make sure you're not duplicating. Okay, so do have a look and make sure that that's not the case. The way you need to do this is previously you used to be able to open up a Google map and trace directly into iNaturalist. But now what you need to do is to upload a Kml file, and you can do this using Google Maps. Okay.
And if you're part of an LGA, your local council should have a KML file that is specific to your area.
Yeah. And you can download KML files from the web and add them to your Google Earth Pro if you like. And I'll just show you how to do that. I'll need to swap screens. Yeah, stop sharing. So if we go into, if you have a look around on the internet, you should be able to find these files. So there's one here, which I've downloaded for Queensland. There's another one here for New South Wales as well, which I can bring up. Not show. Oh, it's just, yeah, it's just taking its time. So these are available, and I'm pretty sure they must be available for Victoria as well. Yeah, that hasn't worked properly. I'll just like get rid of that. And then these files here, you can actually use these to create a place. And because the GSB is based on LGAs, these files or similar should be available either from the council, or you should should be able to download them from a site on the web. If you just go onto here, select that polygon, it'll highlight the one over here in the left. If you just click on that and just right click and go save as a save place as, you can just rename the actual local council area that you have. Local Tambol, okay, save. Where's that? Okay.
Dot and a KLZ.
Oh, hang on a second. I think I did that wrong.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. So you've got it that the default is KMZ. That won't work. You've got to go down to a KML.
Still didn't work.
Yeah. That won't work. And it will not sometimes let you do it. Okay.
There it is.
There he goes. Okay, so that's I seem to always get tripped up on that one, and I did again. So what you do with that is you go to that particular file, and I'll just stop my share screen and then move across to here. And let's have a look where it is.
For all of those who have joined us late, we are recording this. We will put it up on our website, on our YouTube channel, probably this afternoon. So do not despair. We've got
So
you.
we just go into here, select the file, go to the right folder. So I don't know if you can see, I've just hit the browse, and I'm going to the right folder, and okay, so we just select that. In here we add a name. Book, I think it was. But also when you're doing this, it's important to sort of stick with a sort of naming convention as well. So here we generally with these sorts of things, we put the state as well. Okay, and then we put, so then people can go in there and look up QLD or Queensland, and then it should come up as well with all those different areas. It also will ask you here for place type. So we do want to put in here, this is a local council, local administrative area. Select that. Allow checklists. Okay. Oops. Parent name, sorry. This should be Queensland for the parent. Or Australia. Oh no, hang on. So Queensland, and then in here we should put in the name. My bad. And then you just hit
capital T, capital T.
Oh, I'm not going to save it because I haven't done a proper look to see if there's any others around. So, and then you just hit save, and that will save it and allow checklists. Okay. So what does that look like? Well, we've just gone through the places before. So look up so it'll come up like this. And the problem with that is only the person who created it will be allowed to do edits. So you can go in there and edit the actual file, but the issue is only the person who actually creates it can actually do the edit. So that's why I'm not going to create one for that particular area until I have a reason to do it. If you allow checklists, it'll allow these sort of things to come up. And you can just go through and interrogate all the data. So then you can use that particular file or named area to create your project. And this is the same for any project. So if you have some areas, some things you want to do, like if you want to create a project around our botanical gardens. You can find a file or draw a polygon in Google Earth and then save that as a KLM and then import it that way. So I'm not sure if there's anything else that we need to cover off on creating a project. Has anyone got any questions on that? No?
Once you've created your project, where does that become visible?
Yeah. All right. So once we've created the project, what we need to do is go to the organizer's contact spreadsheet like this. I'm assuming I'm still sharing the right screen. And then if we can find our particular name, so let's have a look. I'm assuming that was Kerry. I don't know if you're on here. Yep. Let's just go, let's have a look.
Nick Olaf is there. He's with me. Oh, you can't see my pen. Go down about 4 more rows. Oh, well, up now. Doesn't matter.
Yep. Which one are you?
Well, Olaf. If you go further up.
Oh, here, Nick. Okay, right.
Nick and I.
Yep, sure. Okay, so what you need to do here is to add under the iNaturalist project name, you need to add in here your project name, as in the actual name that appears in the field for name. And then in here, you need to add your URL, which is the web address. Okay, so once you've done that, then I will add it to the umbrella project. And if it's been added to the umbrella project, I will then add in here, yes. Okay, so if you've created a project and it's not included in the umbrella project, then you need to either give me a prod, or if it isn't included in the umbrella project and yet I've mistakenly put in here that it is, just remove that.
I see. So you're saying we've started a collection project and then you put it into the umbrella project.
Yeah. So you need to be an administrator to do that. So either I'll do it, Michelle, or someone else will do that.
But we start the collection project, and then you put it into the umbrella. Yep.
Yes, and it'll also be added into, in this case, the Oceania one as well.
Yep.
Which is here.
Which is here, or Africa or South America, depending on where we are. And then we also make short links for it, and add everyone to organized databases, everything else, so you'll get the emails. Some things are highlighted in red because they're the ones we're having problems with at the moment. Perhaps it's got the wrong date, or they're haven't put us down as an admin, that sort of stuff. They're just the ones we have to follow up on. That's all.
Yeah. So that's because I need things to be quite visual. It's not that red markers in that you've got something wrong, or you have got something wrong, but it's just something that needs to be fixed up. So most of these guys here, so if we go to this project here.
And also highlight yourself if you need a call back about something. Yeah.
Yeah. So in this one here, I don't know what the issue was with that one. I think it's been fixed. I think it had dates in there. So that looks like it's all okay. Yeah, and they've also included us as admin. So I'm pretty sure that one there is okay, but I just haven't had a chance to have a look at it yet. So that one there,
we just have to add them to the list and everything. That's all.
So that one's been, that one there is fine. So this one here, again, this one here might have a small error on it. But I have messaged these people. I just haven't gotten back to checking these things. So this one here has an error, has a mistake with the including the time. So that just needs to be removed. So this was obviously done at about 12 o'clock in the afternoon. So it's only going to record people's observations from just after lunchtime on the Friday to just after lunchtime on the Monday. So if they want to actually record information from across the weekend, they'll need to remove those two things. So we just need to fix that one up. And I'm not an admin on that. So it's
the red lines are just a prod for us to remind us we have to ask them questions and do stuff. That's all.
Yeah, they're a prod to follow up. I probably should have done it in a different color, but that was just the color that came up because it's there.
So which
Okay,
one's yours, Hannah? We'll let you know.
So when I create these short links, this does help us because there is actually metrics that go behind this on the site. You can do your own if you want, or if you wish us to create one, we can create one for you. It just allows us to have a look at how many people are clicking on that link as well, and we can share that information with you, of course. Okay, so that's basically about setting up a project. There are some other bits of information that you can use on your project. I will show you that now while we're here. Oops, wrong one. Am I not logged in? Yeah, I am. Okay, so if we just go to my profile, I'll just bring that up, start again. Okay, so if we you can do something which is, oh, wrong one. You can do a journal posts as well, which I'll talk about this a bit more when we talk about managing projects. But if you go into a journal post, you can actually do these little newsletter things where you actually, produce a little bit of information about your project. A good one to have a look at is the one from Overstrad in South Africa. They do this quite well, but you can put in here links and tag some of the top users in your area as well, which really makes them aware of the fact that the GSB is coming up, and it will increase your potential user base as well. So if we go to have a look at what Overstrad have done, just get in there. In South Africa, and I'm looking at doing a workshop with the organisers from this area because they're a very small area. There's only 2,000 permanent residents, and last year I think they came second in the GSB total number of observations. Not that we're a competition, but we want to get engagement. So,
but it was impressive.
It was impressive from scratch as well. So here she's done a quick one. Using iNaturalist, using nature exploration using iNaturalist. So this is something about the YouTube engagement thing that Thomas did recently.
I will put it in the chat.
Sorry, I'll put it in the chat. I can do that. For those of you who have missed it. Here also we have one from back in May where she's just talked a bit about the GSB and discovering nature and things like that. And then, back in April after the City Nature Challenge, just saying that they're doing the GSB again. And there's also a YouTube video there from Tony Rebello, who's very big in iNaturalist in South Africa and one of our coordinators in that area. So I'll just add that link from Tony, but I'll also add the link to her journal because you'll probably get some good ideas as to what you can post in your journal as well. And if you tag different users in your area, as she tends to do, you'll see that she's already got 34 members of the project, or people who are interested enough to join the project. And again, people don't actually need to join the project in order for their observations to count, but it does create a bit of a sense of community as well. Okay. And
it also allows them then to get pinged when there's journal articles and stuff about what's coming up and things that they can also get involved in. So it is a good way of building your citizen scientists in your area.
All right, guys. Well, I hope that was helpful. You can use those principles to set up any project in your area. I would make further suggestions that you have a look if you're interested, or your local council, or even a natural history group of any type. If you have a look at some of the projects that have been set up in South Australia, not necessarily by myself, but by a friend of mine, I think you'll find that there's some pretty interesting ways you can do things, like on the state level. He set up a project that includes all of the LGAs in South Australia. So if you have a look at this map, he's covered off pretty much everything. So you can encourage people to join your own LGA or have a look at what's going on in LGAs that are nearby. So I think that's a really neat way to do things. Obviously, he's in Onkaparinga because he's a fairly heavy user. The other thing you can do is, set up something similar to this, but on a local council or a regional basis, or even for your own state. Protected parks of South Australia, and he's included all of the different conservation parks within South Australia. So you might, if you're a local council, you might want to have council parks of wherever and include projects for all your councils. So and some councils have done that, there's lots of different ways to engage the public with this platform that might increase your collection of biodiversity data in your own area. And if you're having a re-veg project as well, you might want to set up a project, revegetation projects of particular land care group, and where you can follow those revegetation projects over time.
Get them to do a citizen science bioblitz at first, seeing what there's there, then clear the land, clear it all out, replace it. Once you've replaced it, yes, technically they are then cultivated. However, in 6 months' time, when they produce offspring, that offspring is no longer cultivated. That's their natural born. So
yeah, that's right. So so there's all these different ideas and ways you can do this, but the principles are the same. Okay. So I think that's it. We'll call it a wrap unless anyone's got any other questions they want to ask or queries.